I'm feeling really sick.
Alex, you're going to eat some tater tots and chocolate, you fucking little pussy. Knock knock, let the devil in, bitch. Hey, you know the Rotten Tomatoes score for Venom? Yeah, it's bullshit. Venom is better than Batman v Superman. It's better than Fantastic Four. It's better than f***ing Suicide Squad, Catwoman. And if you don't see that movie, you're a worthless pile of f***ing shit, bitch.
What the hell are you?
At the end of that, he shoots the guy right between the eyes with the machine gun.
Venom is easily the worst superhero movie that has come out this year. It feels like the love child of Ben Affleck's Daredevil and The Mask. But guess what? I loved Venom. Now don't get me wrong, it is awful. Clearly half the movie was cut out. The director was not given the chance to have any kind of fun. The incredible cinematographer was clearly rushed or blackmailed into making this movie look like a soap opera. I mean seriously, the same guy who shot Venom shot A Star Is Born in films like Mother. What happened? The writing is all over the place and Hardy is in a completely different and better movie than everyone else. But I still loved it. I loved it because it was fucking fun. Now, while I am going to shit on the movie a little bit, I don't want to shit on any filmmakers. Other than some of the producers, I don't blame Ruben Fleischer, I don't blame Tom Hardy, or even the acclaimed screenwriter of Gangster Squad, Will Beall.
I'm gonna do my job, that's what I'm gonna do. I can't, not do my job.
I guarantee that everyone involved wanted to make a good movie, but Sony was too worried about appealing to the general audience. No offense to the entirety of Sony either. I'm sure some producers had great ideas, and I'm sure some producers didn't. Avi fucking Arad. How much money does this guy have that Amy Pascal hasn't thrown his ass out the door? He ruined parts of Spider-Man 3, he ruined the Amazing Spider-Man franchise. How does this man still get work? Let's take a little look at his track record. Avi Arad has been obsessed with Venom for years because he's a toy salesman before he's a movie producer. Venom is Monster Spider-Man. Venom will sell a bajillion toys.
He dives off his raft to go after Shark Trap Spidey, but Spidey unleashes the evil symbiote shark on him.
Oh look, the Venom episode of the 90s show written by a certain someone I see. This man is fucking persistent. He wanted Venom in Spider-Man 3, said the kids would love it and convinced Sam Raimi to do it. I'm not making this shit up either. Here's a quote from Sam Raimi about Spider-Man 3. I worked on the story with my brother Ivan, and primarily it was a story that featured the Sandman. It was really about Peter, Mary Jane, Harry, and the new character. But when we were done, Avi Arad, my partner and the former president of Marvel at the time, said to me, Sam, you're not paying attention to the fans enough. You need to think about them. You've made 2 movies now with your favorite villains, and now you're about to make another one with your favorite villains. The fans love Venom. He is the fan favorite.
How's that sound, Tiger?
Here is Arad's recent response. In all fairness, I'll take the guilt because of what Sam Raimi used to say in all these interviews, feeling guilty that I forced him into it. And you know what I learned? Don't force anybody into anything. Therefore, Sam wasn't interested in the inside to make How Is Venom like us? How do we deal with the Venom? And Marvel is all metaphors. Okay, now that quote makes absolutely no sense. I think it's probably because English isn't his first language, but metaphors?
This game is going to look more or less like you're there. And HD is going to give you the depth perception. You're almost in a movie.
I wasn't offering you a choice.
Let's not forget after Spider-Man 3, he rebooted the franchise and hired a genuine talent, Mark Webb, who was fresh off 500 Days of Summer. Webb had an incredible cast, a solid screenwriter, and he still wasn't allowed to make a good movie.
Really, Avi was in charge the entire time. Avi knows all, right?
You see?
Yeah.
Avi, buddy, pal, amigo. Maybe it's time to take a backseat and let filmmakers make a good movie. Good movies means more people watching, which means more tickets, which means more money for you. Trust directors and let it happen. Alright, I'm done talking about Arad for now. Sorry for that little Avi aside. As I said a few minutes ago, I love Venom because Tom Hardy clearly loves Venom. That man is having so much damn fun improvising his way through scenes, acting off nothing, and then dubbing in his own voice and movements. Hardy is having a fucking blast the entire time. It's honestly infectious. Whoever's idea it was to make Venom and Eddie an old married couple stuck with each other 24/7 deserves a round of applause. That is such a fresh take, and if the filmmakers were given the chance to hone in on that element of the movie, you would end up with something fun and hilarious like Deadpool. The first 1/3 of this movie is god awful. What even is the relationship between Michele Williams and Tom Hardy? Are they married? Engaged? I saw it twice and I still couldn't tell you what the hell was going on with them. Why? Why the fuck are they even together? They have zero chemistry, we know absolutely nothing about their relationship or why they even have feelings for each other. Carlton Drake is such a hilarious weasel. Is Carlton Drake even a comic character? Oh. Okay. I think Riot officially overtakes Steppenwolf as the worst comic book movie villain of all time. I'm not talking about Carlton, I'm talking about the gray goo himself, Riot. Riot. What the fuck? Is Riot a comic character? Why did they choose Riot over Carnage or, anybody else? According to Ruben Fleischer, I think, there's a certain symbiote spawn that I think fans are most excited to see. So that one was off the table. Hopefully at some point in the future they will, and so it was just honestly kind of like, who's the coolest looking spawn who isn't that one? The most badass, That's where Riot came from. He's the biggest of the Life Foundation symbiotes and he's got the gunmetal gray. I don't want to say it was purely an aesthetic decision, but the aesthetics definitely played a big part.
I'm Eddie Brock.
Poor Ruben Fleischer seems like he's getting blackmailed in every interview he does. Like maybe he made a really solid comedy and they just cut it apart, or maybe he only took the job for the cash. Either way, I feel bad for him. I mean, just look at this poor bastard.
All right, I think that concludes our scene breakdown. I am grateful for the opportunity to tell you a little bit about Venom, and I hope you'll go check it out in the theaters.
I bet if he slips up and says one negative thing about Sony or the Venom character, my boy Avi will have to take out the trash.
Every morning I'll give him a shot list, and he'll throw it out or wipe his nose or...
Why did this movie have to be an origin story? Couldn't we just start Eddie off as Venom? Have one throwaway line about being humiliated by Parker in New York? I really don't think the audience cares or needs to see anything involving the Life Foundation or my bro Carlton. Just get Tom Hardy, roll the camera, and let him have some fun. That's what I would do with the Venom franchise. Embrace the goof. Embrace the fun. It's making a shit ton of money. It's not because it's a groundbreaking film. It's because it's so goddamn ridiculous. You have Oscar nominee Woody Harrelson coming at the very end looking like the Wendy's girl. You have Oscar nominee Tom Hardy. You have Oscar winner Jared Leto playing Morbius the Living Vampire.
You don't want no beef? You don't want no beef?
Sony has all these wonderful tools. They just need to let filmmakers make fucking films.
Why would we do that?
I could talk about the 6-month time jump in the first 20 minutes of the movie, or the stupid music choices, or the screenplay force-feeding you information because they assume everyone who watches Venom is a complete and utter idiot. You know the movie is trash, Brock.
You're trash, Brock. Excuse me?
You know that Tom Hardy is a lot of fun, and you know that you will either enjoy it because you like it or love it like me because it's pure camp. Is anyone really surprised that this movie turned out the way it did? Sony has done this again and again. They hired the director of Zombieland for a reason. Let him bring the comedy. Let him let the devil in. So where do we even go from here? There will definitely be a sequel to this gem, Venom 2. I am actually writing Venom 2 for fun. I have 4 pages completed. You can read them on my Twitter at HiTop Films, but basically the entire theme of the sequel would be loyalty. You start the film by having Eddie and Venom be sick of each other. Basically the beginning of the film is the day-to-day life of Eddie and Venom. Think of it like roommates that are stuck with each other 24/7. Eddie is getting real sick of Venom's shit and Venom is just about done listening to Eddie. Tensions rise and then about halfway through the first act you introduce Carnage.
There's gonna be carnage.
Now Carnage is killing everybody, not just eating, but chopping off arms, eating them, and then leaving them to bleed out kind of killing. He is coming after everyone, criminals, ordinary people, maybe even someone close to Eddie like Mrs. Chen.
Hey, Mrs. Chen.
Venom is getting blamed for all these killings because how many giant goo monsters does San Francisco have lying around? Have Eddie be like, yo, Venom, I thought you were the last of the symbiotes on Earth. Then Venom gets really anxious and avoids the question. Eventually Eddie gets him to admit the truth.
Eddie, I need to tell you something. Years ago, I reproduced.
Wait, you mean you had a kid? That murderous psycho killing people is your kid?
No, that thing is not my kid. My offspring was kind of a pussy, like you, Eddie. Whoever has bonded with him must be insane.
What else haven't you told me? Venom dodges Eddie's questions for a few comedic lines.
You are not my first partner.
What do you mean I'm not your first? Have Eddie genuinely be upset.
Listen, Eddie, I didn't want to tell you because I knew you would react irrationally and immaturely, because that is what you do, Eddie.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, Eddie. Accept it and move on.
Who was this guy?
He was a Boy Scout, never wanted to get his hands dirty. We are a much better match.
Eddie drops the convo for now, but this is very important for later. For the rest of Act 1, you have Eddie realize that Cletus Cassidy is Carnage, maybe after a cool fight. Carnage gets away and Venom leaves Eddie to go after his offspring. Eddie is extremely hurt by this. He is crushed, he is destroyed, his partner has left him. Have an actual breakup montage of Tom Hardy eating ice cream on his couch and watching cartoons. Remember, this movie is way more self-aware than the first film. No one knows where Carnage is headed, and Eddie has absolutely no way to stop him physically. But you know what he can do? Use his journalism skills.
I'm Eddie Brock. I'm a reporter.
A large portion of Act 2 would be Eddie Brock using his investigative reporter skills to figure out where Cletus Cassidy is going. Have him dig into his family life, discover why Cassidy is so crazy, and give Eddie a lot of much needed character development away from Venom. Maybe Eddie and Cletus have very similar troubled childhoods. Considering we know absolutely nothing about Eddie Brock from the first film, he is pretty much a blank slate. Maybe both Eddie and Cletus never felt loved by anyone. The point is, you have to have some sort of emotional tie between Eddie and Cletus, just like Venom and Carnage have that connection. Eddie eventually uncovers that Carnage is heading to New York to kill Cassidy's abusive father. Eddie was kicked out of New York. Fired! But he hops on his bike and heads there anyway. Eddie arrives in New York and Carnage has already started killing everyone in his path. Brock follows the body to an old folks home where Cassidy's dad is spending his last days. Why is the final act set mostly in an old folks home, you may be asking yourself? Well, Venom 1 had the climax take place at the Life Foundation, so Venom 2 needs to take place where people go to die. Brock is about to enter the building when Venom bonds with Eddie out of nowhere.
Eddie, what are you doing? It's not safe here.
You left me.
To protect you, Eddie, I had to attempt to reach him.
Who, Cassidy?
No, my offspring. I'm sorry I left you, Eddie. I couldn't let you get hurt.
Eddie sighs.
My offspring is gone. Cassidy has full control of him. There is nothing left.
He's going to kill his dad.
I know.
Now they form into Venom. They kick down the door to the old folks' home and we zoom into Venom's surprised face.
You?
Eddie's voice in Venom's head questions, who is you?
That's him. That's the Boy Scout we spoke of earlier. Our first partner.
We turn the camera around and reveal Spider-Man. Not Holland Spider-Man, but Garfield Spider-Man.
But Alex, Holland is Spider-Man. Why would they get Garfield?
Because Garfield never really got a fair shot and the fans would love it. They're releasing Into the Spider-Verse later this year, so the general audience will be more accepting of comic book multiverses. Plus Garfield, Tom Hardy, and Woody Harrelson? Fuck yeah. I won't describe the climax or the end of the film, but let me just leave you with this one last little pitch. Venom 3. Venom in space. I think what we can all learn from Venom is that you can still love an ugly child. A deformed, horribly edited, tonally inconsistent, bland-looking, ugly child. I've already seen the film twice in theaters and I plan to go see it again. I don't want to support Sony strangling filmmakers into making pedestrian garbage, but I just can't get enough of Venom. Yes, Venom is the room of superhero movies, and I love it. I love Venom. Oh shit, I completely forgot that AMC gave me this free comic book when I went to see it. I bet I can make a funny joke about it. Let's look through it.
I'm Eddie Brock. I'm Eddie Brock.